Well, singer-songwriter Bat McGrath has a new CD out. It is called Perfectly Flawed, and he's going to celebrate the release with a concert tomorrow night at Bristol Harbor. Now, Bat has thousands of local fans, as we know, many of whom remember him from his days in the Rochester area, both as a solo artist and a collaborator with Don Potter, Chuck Mangione, and others. Bat is here live this morning, just up from Nashville, Tennessee. Are you awake? How are you, my friend?
I'm just awake. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
This is the CD, and I'll hold it up here if you want to take a look. It's called Perfectly Flawed. How do you feel about it?
I'm pleased with it. I kind of took a step back and made it a lot more organic, just acoustic guitars, which I know you play as well.
Well,
And,
nothing quite like you, sir.
Yeah, well, I've only electric on a couple cuts, so just singer-songwriter stuff.
And for people who know you and for people who may not for years, the real appeal of Bat McGrath is just the gorgeous songwriting, the thoughtful songwriting. People remember so many of your songs. I mean, you mentioned things, close to Rochester, Naples, Wegmans, things like that. But of course, now you're a Nashville guy. Anything that will stand out to people as they hear the lyrics and some of the ideas on this piece of work?
Well, I did Come Some Rainy Day on this, which was a big hit for Winona.
Absolutely.
That I wrote years ago and just wanted to put my own acoustic version of it on there. Perfectly Flawed about my wonderful wife, Trisha Cast, will be a highlight. But no, just if I had a band, if I brought 4 guys up with me, it'd be the guys that are on this CD. I did it just real, back to basics, like I used to.
I always like to ask great songwriters like yourself, who else you listen to these days? And sometimes I get cynical because sometimes I turn on the radio accidentally and I don't hear a lot of real songwriting.
Yeah.
What stands out to you these days?
I don't listen much at all.
You're like me, Bat.
Yeah, no, and actually I rarely did. People say Trisha knows more about Led Zeppelin tunes and people of my era, and so I just never listened that much. I think that I always had a song in my head. John Prine, Pat Alger, Tony Arata, songwriters that I know in Nashville, and so I love hearing what they have. And of course, not to be sour grape man, but I hear so many better songs on the streets in Nashville than you ever will on the radio.
No, absolutely, no doubt about it. And I've talked to some friends before. We've seen you up here in Rochester, and they say, "How come Bat isn't like huge in Nashville?" I said, "Because songwriters don't always." That's not always how it works. And yet, with Come Some Rainy Day, you had that big hit.
Yeah.
And that really made a big difference for you, didn't it?
It did, yeah, absolutely. I'm not huge. I'm not really a go-getter. I'm really kind of reclusive. We live up in the woods, and I don't go to the parties and this and that. But with Come Some Rainy Day, I happened to know Winona because my brother was working with her, and I called her and actually drove to the studio, met her in her car. She played it in her car, started crying, cut it that evening. And so, people wait years to get a cut down there, and I had one in 6 hours.
Is there an emotional resonance when you see a woman like her actually weeping at something you wrote?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And she's kind of a smart mouth, too. And down there, they call it a hold. If somebody's going to record your song, they say you put it on hold. And I said, well, why not? And so she's crying. I said, well, does this mean it's a hold? And she goes, it's a headlock, Bat.
These are the kind of stories you get to hear. And if you haven't seen Bat perform, especially like you get the chance tomorrow night at Bristol Harbor, give us a sense again, Bat, because they're going to hear your music, but they really do get a sense of what it's about and kind of what inspired you at times, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I talk maybe too much sometimes and whatnot, but music, I like it to be like a living room whenever I play. You talk, and I encourage people to holler something out if they want to hear something, or a question to holler it out. So, especially at this stage in my career, it'd be a little pretentious of me to dress up in rhinestones and strut. So, I'm just like here to play some songs and visit and enjoy, I hope.
We're honored to have you. We'll see you tomorrow night at Bristol Harbor. You want more information? Head to 13wham.com, click on the green Find It button. The new CD, again, is called Perfectly Flawed at House of Guitars locally.
Yep.
And also on the website, which we will link up as well. So people can find that.
Yes.
So go see, I just can't recommend enough. A very intimate show. And maybe as we go to break, we could just hear a few strums.
Sure, yeah. On my new guitar, by the way.
That's a beautiful guitar.
Walking down Walnut Street, The sun is out, the birds are singing, kids all playing kickball on the lawn. Incense fills the air with flowers blooming everywhere. Why does it feel everything's all wrong? Miss you, miss you.
Very nice.
Are we broke?
We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right,
Thanks,
Evan. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yep.